It is commonly accepted that we inherit some of our physical features from our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on, otherwise known as our ancestors, our lineage, our blood lineage. The physical features belong to the 3D plane, the geometry of someone's face, the design of someone's body is locked within our DNA, and that is commonly accepted, to the point where the moment we're born, someone would say, oh, she looks like her mother, or he looks like her father. And in the system that interests me here, the health system, it is also commonly accepted. That is why often, if you go and visit a general practitioner, they might ask you the history of disease on both mother and father's side. That's the common ground that even pushes us forward in time now, where in the last 10 years some practices by the medical system involve the removal of certain organ as a preventative way for cancer. So I'm going to repeat that. There are doctors who follow science, who believe that if there is, for example, a history of a particular type of breast cancer in a lineage, that to prevent cancer, we remove the breast and we replace it by silicone and all will be well. From my medical system, my medicinal system, homeopathy, this could not be further away from truth. The first reason that is commonly accepted by my peers is that tumors in the breast, for example, are the manifestation of cancer, but they are not cancer. Cancer operates in other ways through large, repeated patterns of suppression and even repression. What could be suppression and repression? It can be because someone has been using aluminium charged deodorant for a span of 25 years, repressing sweat and consequently harming the body by spraying heavy metals in the most delicate area of the body. Suppression of menstrual cycles in women through contraceptive pills. Suppression of the expression of another type of disease, which is asthma, with Ventolin and corticosteroids. Suppression of emotional needs through recreational drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. Repression of emotions, perhaps for cultural reasons, that is not accepted to be vulnerable and frail. All of these combined, I will add the last one, that is the root cause to many turbo cancers right now, and that's this total irreversible suppression of the immune system by injecting something that no one really know what it is, in the blood um, of patients, with the belief that disease out there to catch us, kill us, and that we are not armed. We don't have defense systems when actually we do. So that's another form of suppression, and it's very obvious to me. But the motivation behind my videos is also education, because I've realized that actually not many people know, and other people don't want to know. But I assume that if you've been led to this video somehow, and if you're still listening, it's because you want to know something that I'm going to tell you now. That is my truth. It's always been my truth, but it is also manifested as facts. The other part of the homeopath / mystical woman in me feels that when we are, for example, removing breast of a woman to replace it by silicone implants in order to avoid the spread of cancer cells, we are not only treating cancer, we're not treating cancer, we are potentially removing a site in the body where cancer could express itself. But cancer sufferers who have been through surgeries know that once we are removing it from the non-vital organs, cancer very intelligently then moves to the vital ones, like the brain or the liver, the stomach. So, hear me here. So not only we're not removing cancer, but we are also dismissing the fact that we not only inherit physical features, we inherit the invisible, emotional, mental, psychological, even spiritual patterns. I can break it down for you a little bit. Won't be surprising if we take, Jimi Hendrix, fantastic guitar player, fantastic musician. We would not be surprised if Jimi Hendrix's son, if he has a son, I don't know, but if he had a son, that this son would be talented for music, as well as also perhaps loaded with a darker light, this rock and roll darker light, which is, drugs and stuff. Escapism, or needing to get inspired through other planes of existence. It won't be surprising, would it? We would not be surprised that a great inventor or engineer also has given birth to a child that also has predisposition for this type of work, this sophistication of the mind that leads to invention or engineering. And beyond that, it's not surprising that we are also embodying emotional patterns of our ancestors. So if, as a woman, your mother has the tendency to suppress her masculine energy in order to be submitted to a patriarchal pattern in the family, embodied by your father, it is not surprising if you are also dealing with this pattern within you, perhaps not seizing opportunities at work, or perhaps also reproducing this pattern in your relationship, And that's an obvious example. Sometimes it's a lot more discreet, the way it expresses itself, and that might surge and come to the surface only when you become a parent yourself, because then you're able to see in your children's behavioral pattern what you have not dealt with. So that's the beauty of being a parent. It's that leap in spiritual development, because you're able to see directly as a living ancestor. You're able to see whatever you have not been coping with, whatever has not been addressed yet, whatever your parents, great parents, have left on the side, because perhaps in their generation there was no time to deal with emotional patterns that could improve, because perhaps there was survival, perhaps there was wars, there was something else to deal with. Perhaps your parents were immigrants and they had to make a new country their home. So there's different reasons, and we must always approach it with indulgence. But if you're still listening to me here, in the conventional system, we would use surgery, we would use, anti-life drugs, we would use harming radiation, we would use chemical products even to deal with what the human body has developed, and we would not pay attention so much to the original emotional pattern that is the compost before disease. We call it in homeopathic jargon the terrain. And so today I want to invite you to tend to your terrain and to know that there is a great tool in homeopathy, is that the homeopath can use what we call miasmatic remedies. The miasmatic remedies are a range of vibrational medicine that have the capacity to break through the quantum barrier in the cells of the patient or the client. The homeopath can use those remedies with you to drill through the block that may have been inherited through the bloodlines. And therefore, if the conventional system is using injections, surgery, gene therapy to alter whatever is supposedly not serving the functioning of the body, homeopaths have for over 300 years used vibrational medicine that also can have an impact on the genes of a person. And that impact is not only felt on an emotional and mental level, it will be seen. It will be seen in the body, most particularly on the face of the patient. So my conclusion here is to bring awareness around the fact that indeed, and that's the question that I ask, and that was kind of dismissed, but that's the first question that I ask in the first year of my 4-year training at my College of Homeopathy. was, are we able to create a somehow superhuman using homeopathy? When the true question that I can ask now, over 12 years on, was rather, are we able to return to our superhuman abilities through the art of homeopathy? Was something locked in my DNA when I received injections the moment I took my first breath? What was the agenda then? And what is the agenda now? The consensus that there is over all holistic medicinal practices, that I think is really the ground of agreement for all practitioners of so-called alternative medicine, which I want to call truth medicine, is that there is a hierarchy in the causality of disease. And the mental emotional plane is superior to the material plane. So by treating first the mental and emotional plane, not only the one that is visible through the life of the patient, but also what has been inherited through genetic predispositions, we can ensure true healing to occur simply by liberating and stimulating the life force, by detoxing whatever has been forced upon the body from the first moment we arrived here and beyond. Because if, for example, a woman conceived through IVF, and very often a woman needs IVF after years of pills, contraceptive pills. So let's say the patient has been taking the contraceptive pills for 10 years, and then she needs IVF because she needs to conceive. But the first thing to do is to detox. The contraceptive pill that carries a very simple message. It was to tell the body, do not do your thing, don't be on your natural cycle, do not conceive. So every day of her life for 10, sometimes 20 years, a woman gave that message to her body, and the moment she decides to conceive, she wants control over the whole process, when it's one of those things that we really have to let go of control in order to let life happen through us. She might, try for a year, up to 5 years, and then she's back at her gynecologist who will suggest IVF. Now, you can imagine that the human born from this living organism that has been pumped up with chemically designed hormones, synthetically designed hormones for decades, may later on develop some issues. Hormonal issues or even psychological issues of repression, of suppression. An imbalance of some sort. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because from quite some years now, and because of the general witnessing in the world of homeopathy, we're mostly detoxing the damages of a ever too present usage of chemical drugs in order to fix, when most of the time it is the spirit of the patient that needs attention, that needs a listening ear, and a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of patience, and stimulation towards correct oscillation. So I thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you're very welcome to use the comment section or to write us an email. And of course, I want to invite you to read upon the theory of miasms and genetic predispositions in homeopathy. And if it resonates with you, you can either contact me as an online homeopath, or you can look into your local community. Thank you.